Heart of the matter. The big conversations live here.
Join Kofi Bartels on the Morning Crossfire, weekdays 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. only on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, welcome back. It's still the Morning Crossfire Radio 99.3 Nigerian for a lot to talk about. I know that jam story will not go away. Thankfully, we have a newsroom on it. You heard the report about Nora Nilbodo and all that, and we'll keep our eyes on that. But let's take a detour. Like I told you at 5 o'clock, we will take a detour to something that has to do with consumerism. All right, something that has to do with the economy. And we all know the difficult times Nigerians are going through as we speak. But, since subsidy is gone, was announced that those famous words, subsidy is gone, 3 words, right? It's been a difficult time for a lot of people. The government says as well, it's just the birth pangs of a great economy, something that everybody has to go through just to ensure that our generation and generations unborn, like they say, do not have to suffer. We're all going through it, but the consumers, those who buy or patronize goods and services, you and I, we are the middle. I mean, if the removal of petrol subsidy takes, its toll on the cost of business, cost of doing business and all that, running costs and all that, operational expenses, the expenditure of businesses we have. Some of these businesses, most of them will turn around and push the increase in operating expenditure. So what I was looking for to the consumer, whether it's the rise in the cost of aviation fuel, you and I are the ones who will pay. Whether it's the rise in telecoms, tariffs, you and I are the ones who will pay. Whether it's the rise in the cost of electricity, you and I are the ones who will pay. What is it? Cost of transportation. You and I are the ones who pay. So the consumer has been at the receiving end of the situation in the Nigerian economy, especially the reforms of this present Bola Tinubu administration. Whether the reforms are well thought out or not, whether they are for the good of Nigerians or not, whether I believe this is the way to go or not, the fact is that the consumer will be the one at the end of the day to pay. Like they say in the United States of America with the tariffs, Donald Trump's Chinese or global tariffs, we want to call it, the American consumer will pay. All right, so what exactly is the Nigerian consumer going through right now? What are you going through? Who is a consumer? I don't know a dictionary. I can't give a dictionary definition, but of course, those who consume, right? So you listening to me, how has your life changed in the last 1 year, for instance? Now, a body known as SEED, S-E-I-D, released the report. I saw the report. I was interested and reached out to them. And it's an interesting report. And this is called Nigerian Consumer Outlook Report 2025. It's a data-driven snapshot into Nigeria's consumer behavior, and I found it interesting. Information and data for policymakers, information and data for entrepreneurs, information and data for media, civil society, everyone. It was quite interesting. I'm glad to say we have with us right here in the studio on the Morning Crossfire. I'll say the how do I call it now? The managing partner, right, of SEED. He's a reputation manager, marketing and policy communications strategist. So it means he's my kindred as a marketer with close to 2 decades of experience. He's a founder and partner of reputation management and policy marketing at SEED Inc. In providing policy marketing services to the government, Tubosun. His name is Tubosun Akeju. Tubosun, good morning to you.
Morning, Kofi. Thank you for having me.
All right, I got ahead of myself.
That's all right.
Yeah,
That's
so
all right.
In providing policy and marketing services to the government, Tubosun, has had the opportunity to successfully market some critical government policies at various levels of government in Nigeria. Also for the UK government, he's a 3-time producer of the NOJ Energy Week Conference, the largest gathering of energy stakeholders in sub-Saharan Africa. He's a member of the Public Relations Consultants Association UK, the famous Chartered Institute of Marketing UK, CIM, and an alumnus of the School of Media Communication, Pan Atlantic University. All right. You're welcome. I'm about to protest for name, but let me not protest for name. Let's leave it for another day.
All right, then.
Yeah. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Did I get it right? Seed, right?
Yes, Seed. Perfect.
Right.
You're one of the very few people that pronounce it very well, so I appreciate that.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So I came across your report, and you guys have been a lot of marketing around it, but I think it's also a good stuff.
Thank you very much.
And it's out there for free.
Yes.
It's accessible to people.
Yes.
And so I think we also are benefiting from it.
Yes.
All right. So it was important to invite you to come on the program.
Thank you very much.
And talk about this. Just some highlights of the report. First of all, what is the Nigerian consumer outlook report? The challenge for me today is to enable our listeners to understand this is important.
Yeah.
Yes, JAM is important. Boko Haram, talking about it, banditry, the killings, all those things are important.
Yeah.
But what is the Nigerian Consumer Outlook Report, and who is it meant for? Why is it important?
All right. Thank you very much. About a couple of years ago, when Seed started, one of the things that we identified is that the Nigerian consumer or the Nigerian market is a highly misunderstood market. I like to say that the people who are winning in Nigeria do not talk much. As you probably already know, sometimes negative news seem to have the quicker feet.
So those are winning in business.
Yes, those who are winning in business usually don't talk a lot. But there are people who are winning. And that does not remove the fact that there's a lot of problem. What we're trying to do with the Nigerian Consumer Outlook Report is to allow policymakers to understand the critical things that needs to be put in place for the greater good of the society, to enable business, to enable investors. We also want the investors to understand the Nigerian market, because what we've seen happen is when investors come into the country from the West, most especially, and they bring the mindset of the West into Nigeria and they get their fingers burnt, the perception is that the Nigerian is a market, is a bad market, and all of that, and they go back, with their fingers burnt, when essentially the problem is that there is not a good understanding of the Nigerian market, especially with a lot of changes. The other thing that really then motivated us to carry out this research and release this report, and of course release it for free, is that we had major policy shift in 2023 that has impacted Nigeria in a very, very interesting way. And this is how I like to say, from a policy marketing point of view, when there's a policy change, value always moves from one person to the other. It's important to understand the direction in which value has moved when there's a policy change.
So the value has not disappeared?
Really, just like the principle in physics, energy cannot be destroyed. You can only move it from one form to the other. So the value has moved from one person to the other. So where has the value moved to? Let me give you a very interesting example. We noticed that for people above 35, the higher you go above 35, the higher the increase in solar system.
Solar?
Yes.
I see.
Very interestingly, we released this report about 2 weeks ago. Last week, the federal government announced that Aso Rock is going off-grid.
I noticed you guys had to tell people, see, this is what we've been talking about.
So my point is, the value has moved. What is going to happen is there are so many people, and this has been happening for a while. I know a company who moved completely off the disco, disconnected from the disco. They become more efficient. What do they move to? They move to gas. They become more efficient.
All right.
So my point is, the value has moved. They didn't stop buying power. They only stopped buying from the disco. They only stopped buying diesel. By moving to gas, they reduced their cost of monthly diesel by 3/3.
Wow. Interesting. So that means the value has moved. With the value moving, money also moves.
Yes,
because money goes where value is.
Exactly.
Interesting. So let's look at and I think this is important, for policymakers, even for the consumers themselves, to know, okay, this is where the market is where I think I should be putting my money in to get goods and services, but also for entrepreneurs. You know, the opportunities out there, but it's also important to understand where the Nigerian consumer is, where they're spending their money. So which areas did you cover in this report, in this research and study?
Do you mean geographical areas?
No. But areas of
where people are spending their money.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yes, you talk about energy, right?
Yes. So the top 3 things people are spending money on from our research across the country, and there's a bit of a difference in the geopolitical regions, but they're very similar. But the top 3 things across the country: number 1 is food. Majority are spending significant amount of their income on food. You know, the average, across board, we think is over 50% of their income on food. The second thing is transportation, but that varies a bit across the region. And the third thing is education. What we also noticed is that, education is very interesting, because the people who have kids are spending a lot of education. The people who don't have kids are either trying to upskill, because there's a correlation between higher education and income level. So we notice that those are the 3 things. The 4, 5 varies widely, and that's where you have rent, you have some talking about power, and the likes. But those 3 things were constant across the.
So it's number 1,
food.
Okay, number 2,
transportation,
and number 3,
education.
All right, and then you have after that you mentioned 2 others.
Then you're now looking at rent, but that varies widely. For example, in Southeast, I think rent was number 4. Okay. And again, that's confirmed by the fact that I think the Enugu state government is trying to come up with a rent policy that is different from what you have across the nation, just to manage that situation.
Right. Okay, so let's go over the key findings.
Okay,
what are the key findings of this Nigeria consumer outlook? Yeah.
Okay, I want to start with food. Of course, because food is an essential. Is when you look at the Maslow's law hierarchy of need. Food is very, very important. So with over 50% of Nigerians, right, spending monthly income on food and groceries, what I see there, that's not really a good situation.
50% of their monthly income,
because what it means is that
over how many percent again?
Over 50%. The average person is spending over 50%. Over 50%
of their monthly income
on food.
Okay.
On food. And the interesting thing, the signs are all around us. Very, very interesting. The signs are all around us. For example, if you would think that you have more middle class people on the island in Lekki area of town, but if you look at the stretch of Admiralty, you have a situation where there are QSR brands, quick service restaurant brands, that have 2 outlets on the same stretch of road.
You're looking at the regular fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that again shows that there's a lot of opportunity there, but it's also it's like a double whammy. Spending 50% of your income on food is not really great because when you compare that with, for example, in the UK, the number 1 thing a lot of people spend their money on in the UK is rent. But it's more interesting because after a while, most of them then tend to own the property.
Is this because food is expensive?
Yes, because food is expensive.
Nigeria, okay.
Food is expensive, and there's a lot of things.
Not because we like to eat.
No. Food is expensive, and there's a lot of things that have contributed to food being expensive. Internally, we can look at insecurity. Internally, we can look at the fact that our agricultural sector has not really developed. We don't have a lot of industrialized and mechanized farming in Nigeria. Okay. Externally, the Ukraine war has affected food supply across the world, because, for example, one of the critical food by food FAO of the UN is wheat, and Ukraine used to be the biggest supplier of wheat, if they're not.
Of course, government policy.
Exactly.
Let's not go into
so my point is, sorry to cut you. My point is, there's opportunity in food in terms of, if you look at a lot of the companies, the FMCG companies on the stock exchange, a good number of them declared good profits. UAC,
fast-moving consumer goods.
Yes, UAC, Boer Foods, they've declared very interesting profit in the time where everybody is complaining about the situation. So we have to look at it from the 2 sides, right? It's not ideal for us to be spending 50% of our income on food, but it also shows that we need more investment in that space. to grab the money that is available there and then drive down the cost. And again, example around us, the more people we had in the telecom sector, the better it became. Somebody told us before at some point that maybe per second billing wasn't possible. A competitor came and said, I'm going to do per second billing, and then we have a better system. So we need more people in this space.
It's second key finding. Now, next key finding.
I think the next key finding for us is the income. When we look at how Nigerians earn, it's very interesting. What I found most interesting about how we earn is not only the fact that a lot of people still earn about 100,000 naira and below.
That's 39%.
Yes. What I find interesting is the number of people who make their income from personal business.
Okay.
From being an entrepreneur.
Some call it side hustle.
Exactly.
Some call it side.
So the average Nigerian works 2 jobs. Nigerians are very hardworking.
The average Nigerian works 2 jobs.
Yes, they have a side gig and they have a main job.
Is that a finding from your?
That's part of things we found out.
We found out. Okay. The average person out there has. Do you have a figure? A percentage?
It was a bit difficult for us to identify that because most people do not really like to declare their side gig,
and
except they see an obvious business opportunity.
And it is informal too as well.
Yes, it's likely informal, and it's survival driven.
Okay. So whatever comes your way, whatever happens, maybe you find something back.
Yeah.
But you said 39% of people you interviewed,
yes,
earn less than 100,000 naira a month.
Yes.
All right. And most Nigerians have 2 jobs.
Yes.
All right. This is something that probably wasn't the case some years ago.
So because we don't have historical data to prove that, right? I wouldn't say yes or no, because again, when you look at it, a few years ago, the value of 100k was also, because what we also noticed is that it seems like inflation is growing faster than people's income is growing.
Let's go to the next key finding. So we've talked about food, we've talked about income and work. So let's go to the next key finding.
I want to talk a bit about work, and income, because one of the things we noticed is that the higher there are 2 very interesting things there. The higher the education, the higher the opportunity of people, the higher the potential to earn more.
Oh, really?
Yes. But what we also noticed is that by the time you get to a particular income level, we start to find self-employed people again at that income level. By the time you get to about 700,000 income, we start to find traders, and of course we have the tech guys, which is also skill. So the higher the skill, the higher. But we found an appreciable number of traders and entrepreneurs above the 700 income.
700,000 naira a month income.
Yes,
that is salary.
Yes. So for us, one of the things we extrapolated from the data is that quite a number seem to be doing the business for survival purposes, side gig for survival purposes, and there's a challenge with that because it means that scaling might be difficult, if you get what I mean. Scaling and sustainability is not top of mind, and we can't.
It's also all about survival.
Yes. So, and with that mindset, we can create more jobs efficiently or sustainably.
We'll be back to look at some more of this after this break. Stay with us.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this.
Start your children's day with a great taste of Ovaltine, enriched with multi-nourishment, calcium, malt, and vitamin B12 to support learning and playtime. Ovaltine, smart choice for smart kids.
He done trading himself. James, hello.
Susan, I beg. Say you the wine me.
For where? You who no longer depend solely on your salary.
So you people trade and don't carry us along in this office, Abby?
Jerry, now you they talk like this? Who doesn't want an extra stream of income? But I'm still looking for better trading conditions, I beg. Fast execution of my trades and possibly an account where swap no go carry all my profits where I don't know.
Guy, HFM.com.
For me, I wouldn't mind better spreads at all, and it won't be a bad idea to be able to make withdrawals in a flash.
All we want is transparency and great customer service.
Guys, I said HFM.com.
Which one is HFM.com again?
Switch to HFM today to enjoy ultra-fast execution, 1 to 2,000 leverage, tight spreads, swap-free, and more.
Guy, show us the way now.
Wait, are you sure deposits and withdrawals are sharp?
I said HFM.com. Visit www.hfm.com. HFM, online trading at its finest.
And Janet, what's be this way you dey buy?
Na oil wey I go use cook na.
Unbranded oil wey dem put for bottle?
Something wey na shikini money and e dey do me wella.
Hey, Janety, make you remember say I wolf dey run belle o.
Which one make I come buy?
Na Devon King's oil o. Na correct oil, fortified with vitamin A.
Na correct choice for me and my family.
Yes, na. You fit buy the one where your money reach and enjoy tasty meals.
True talk o. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you wella.
Na so, my correct friend. Devon Kings, taste where they bring people together. You fit find them for any store around you.
When it comes to winning, I get power plenty. The power to win bigger day your hand with BetKing Bet Builder. Download BetKing app, register with promo code FreeBets. Make you enjoy 100 Naira instant bonus. Terms and conditions apply. Not for persons under 18 years. Play responsibly.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development and the care they need with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics to help your child's digestion and development, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. And all of these work together to support your child's development and growth today and tomorrow. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
Attention, Airtel customers. If your line has been blocked, then this is for you. Head to the nearest Airtel shop with your NIN. Our friendly staff will help you get your line back up and running. Don't let a blocked line keep you out of touch.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
My ions, please, can't get enough. My ions, please, give it to me now, now. It go rehydrate you, yeah. Replenish your ions with Pocari Sweat. Rehydrate you faster, easy we observe. Pocari Sweat, give me some more. Pocari Sweat.
It's SCL Finance's 10th anniversary, and you're invited to invest smarter. Earn 27% in 270 days or 25.5% in 180 days. Your funds power short-term high-yield loans, generating steady secured returns. Whether you're a first-time investor or a seasoned pro, now's the time to grow your money with confidence. Start with just 100,000 Naira and top up with 10K multiples. Guaranteed returns, flexible payout options. Offer ends 15 May 2025. Location, Okpebi Ikeja, Lekki Phase 1, Lugbe, Abuja. For more info, call or WhatsApp +234 809 097 3899. Again, for more info, call or WhatsApp +234 809 097 3899. One more time just in case. Call or WhatsApp +234 809 097 3899. Or email investment@sclfinance.ng or visit www.sclfinance.ng. Make your money work for real.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back. Lagos is still the morning crossfire right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're dedicating to Nigeria's economy and what consumers are saying. This information is important for you as a consumer. Of course, you can agree or disagree. You can also tell your version or your own experience. You can challenge what you're hearing. If you feel yours is different, call and tell us. Or so I guess we'll hear and also talk to you and explain better. But also for policymakers, government, and then entrepreneurs. I remember people saying that as an entrepreneur, is somebody who will add value to something. There's one meme, add value to something and then double the price. While a business person will just buy it and then add a markup. So entrepreneurs out there, you can actually cash in or season on this, intelligence that is being shared today. So we're unpacking the latest data on inflation, exchange rates, consumer confidence. We'll hear how everyday Nigerians are coping. And of course, we're exploring how business and policymakers are responding and can respond. The Nigeria Consumer Outlook report 2025 is a guide designed to equip businesses, investors, and policymakers with the clarity to navigate change and seize emerging opportunities. It's put together by Seed, which is a marketing communications firm. And of course, we have a managing partner of Seed here with us, Tubosun Akeju, right here on the Morning Crossfire. Tubosun, I hope I got it right this time.
Yes,
right?
you did.
Tubosun,
yeah.
Tubosun, right?
Yes,
I got it right. All right. So please call 0201-277-0993, 0201-277-0993, and we have 0201-465-7190, 0201-465-7190. On WhatsApp is 08095975805, 08095975805. Nigeria's been living in quite a difficult economic time. In March 2025, the headline inflation rose to 24.22%, relative to the February 2025 headline inflation rate of 23.18%. This according to the National Bureau of Statistics. On a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate in March 2025 was 3.9%. Food inflation rate was 21.79% year-on-year in March 2025. And we're hearing our guests say that their finding shows that more than 50% of Nigerians spend at least 50% of their income on food. Is there anything you saw to indicate that inflation may be higher than what we're hearing from the MBS?
Actually, no.
Because you went around the country.
Yes, we did.
All the 36 states.
Yes, we did go around the country. And our core objective was to look at the trend. Of course, we did see that, and this is the median edition of it, so we didn't have a reference data that we could use personally. But from all the reputable organizations, that do research in country, I think that inflation across the country is different. And as you would see how the impact of things across. So let me give an example. We know that the food inflation is the highest, right? But in a place like Benue, that is the food capital of Nigeria,
breadbasket of Nigeria.
The breadbasket of Nigeria, they are still spending significant amount of their income on food. Now the reason is because when you look at the research showed, majority of the people who earn in Benue are within the lower bracket, 100k and below. So we've even seen research that showed that there are parts of Nigeria where people spend 120% of their income on food. That means, in practical terms, 20% of the time they don't eat.
Wow.
So there's that.
Wow.
So and then of course we have also seen situation where a lot of the food that has been produced there is not consumed there, is exported out of the place. So yes, there are all indications that the food crisis.
So even in Benue, food is not cheap.
It's not, because everybody is planting with the intent to move it out of the state, most likely. And that's why the Niger State governor at some point wanted to stop people from moving food outside, to say that we produce the food here, but the people here can't eat because, hey, the food is moving out. Guess what? Somebody said something very interesting when we were doing some of the second layer of interviews, that it's also possible that one of the things that's impacted our food is because of Jagba. Far-fetched, but here's the logic. He is of the opinion that because a lot of Nigerians have moved outside Nigeria significantly in the last about 5 years, since COVID, really, it means that the demand for Nigerian food outside Nigeria has also increased.
Absolutely.
So
that is having some sort of effect on food availability in the country.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how significant it is, but I think the logic checks out. So if there's anything, we just need to ramp up our food production, especially when you have a very, very youthful population. Youth consume a lot of food.
All in a bid to reduce the cost of food.
Yes, I think it's one of the things that we have to do. We have to ramp up significantly production of food.
Interesting. So let's look at some more key findings before I pick the next the first call.
Okay. However, energy is is one thing that has a bit of a double dipping, because the way we're sectored here, right? We have petrol that is used for fueling cars and buses, and sometimes we have petrol generators at home. People spending significantly. So the biggest thing people spend money on, the second biggest thing is transportation.
After food?
After food.
Okay.
And you see that across different regions of the country, electricity is either coming fourth third, fourth, or fifth. It varies, right? And what we then noticed is that a significant portion of Nigerians really want to go off grid. And like I said at the beginning of the program, even the mighty House Rock is planning to go off grid.
Before you go further, so you're saying the second biggest spend is on transportation?
Yes.
Number 3 is what?
Number 3 is education.
Education. Okay, so let's before we go to energy, let's talk about transportation. What are those things you found in this report that you think are very key for people to know?
In regards to transportation,
yes,
I think the first thing is that there's a mass transit crisis in Nigeria, and I think that the policymakers and the government needs to look at that very critically.
That's what you observe.
Yes.
What do you mean by mass transit crisis?
There is no coordinated way and efficient way to move across Nigeria. That's the simple way to put it. So, for example, we see that a lot of the jobs, of the formal jobs in Lagos, for example, is on the island, right? It means that every day there are thousands of people moving from the mainland to the island. The train has helped a bit, but you can still see that Third Milan Bridge in the morning still has a lot of traffic, and that happens in any urban city.
And you saw this across the country.
Yes, but what you also then noticed is that half the time there are a lot of people who are on that bridge. There's only one person in the car. There are only 2 people in the car. Those are people who could have parked their cars at home if we had a very, very efficient mass transit and network of roads, so that the quality of life in taking mass transit should not dip. I mean, if we compare with a country like the UK, right, you can move 1 hour, 1 hour 30 minutes from South London to Central London to do work, and don't feel like using the train is a hassle, right? It's not the most pleasant, but it's the most efficient way for you to move around. I think we need to start looking, and then moving interstate. We've seen the benefit that some companies have been able to draw out of this. Some companies are solving the problem, like Shortlast, like GIG. They're trying to, provide those alternatives for a comfortable mass transit system, and I think that the federal government's CNG program can help a bit, but I think it needs to go beyond that. We need to be able to move goods and services in an efficient way, because guess what? The cost of transportation is one of the things that's contributed to the cost of food, because it has become significantly more expensive to bring food from the north to the south. So we need to look at that efficient way of moving things, cold chain movement of food, efficient way to move people, across the country.
All right. So people spend a lot on transportation.
Oh yes, a lot across the country. I mean, I can read out some of it. If you look at, like North Central, 14.4%. If you look at Northeast, they spend 15.6%
of their salary,
of their income.
On food, on transportation.
If you look at Northwest, you're looking at 12.3%. If you look at Southeast, you're looking at 12.3% also. South 15.4%. Southwest 24.6%. I think that we can blame Lagos for that.
Oh yes, you can. Okay. So people spend these amounts, percentages of salary on transportation. The next is education.
Yes, education.
Okay, tell us about that. What are the key findings?
All right. Education also another dicey one, because in North Central we're seeing 9.4%.
In where?
North Central 9.4%. In Northeast, interestingly, 12.2%. In Northwest, 10.8%. In Southeast, 9.4%. In South, 11.6%. In Southwest, 8.3%. There are a lot of things that are responsible for this, because this is not a straight line equation.
So which is the most expensive? Is geopolitical zone?
It would appear that the Northeast is the most expensive. Okay. But again, this is also a factor of how much they earn. So when you go back to how much they earn, you want to see that majority are also earning a bit low, so that there's a bit of balance in how we're looking at this.
Yes.
That's education.
Interesting. Then the next is energy.
Energy, yes.
Is that the next number 5?
Yes. So energy, again, another one that varies. So in North Central, right, energy, we're looking at 9.3%. In North Central, in Northeast, we're looking at 10.9%. Northwest, 4.7%. Southeast 7.5%, South 13.5%, and then Southwest is 7.8%. Yeah,
of their annual income.
Monthly income.
These people are wealthy in the Southwest. Because if me, like my the percentage of my annual income or my monthly income, for I'm talking about everything I do.
I can imagine.
For electricity. Yeah.
Again,
except maybe it's you had a wide range of bands.
That's what I was about to say.
Probably
that
a wide range
what
of
we
bands.
try to do with this report is to ensure that we're not skewed towards any socio-economic class, right? To ensure that we're taking. So if you look at people at the closer to the bottom of the pyramid, they have a shared way of using power. For example, that's why if you go to some areas that has a large number of people closer to the bottom of the pyramid, most of them charge their phones in this kiosk where they pay and they just plug their phone to get charged.
Some probably bypass.
Yeah, well, there's also that.
Or maybe estimated bill.
And then they will only pay what they can afford. So I think that the way we've looked at the report is to see the opportunities that exist. To say that.
So tell us about the opportunities.
So for us, we see a great deal of opportunity with renewable energy.
Okay.
And it's a bit of a surprise that it's at this time that the government is looking at banning the solar panel. I think that while it's very important for us to start producing in Nigeria, it's also important for us to be globally competitive. And I think that's one of the things that, again, when we get to some of consumer goods, perhaps we can learn a few things from there. That it's not enough for us to just be able to produce in Nigeria. We must look and work towards being globally competitive, because if you produce in Nigeria but it's cheaper to import, then there's a problem, because again, money will always find value. So so in an attempt to produce in Nigeria, we must look at being globally competitive. So there's a lot of opportunity in renewables. Like I said, we can even see the big house rock trying to go off grid, and I think it's the direction to really go. I think CNG adoption is something that we should really look at. CNG adoption
on the transportation.
Yes, for mass transit, because CNG adoption will really help us also to reduce the pressure on PMS, and perhaps that can then help us see how affordable it can be for those who still want to continue to use PMS to power their generator. But I think a lot of people will go the direction of solar, and then we need to look for buy now pay later credit system for renewable. I think that is something that we really want to reconsider, where and I know somebody has tried this before, where you can have the solar system in your house, however you don't have to pay the capital that is required at the start.
You pay a rental.
Yes, almost like a rental, so that people can afford it, because the problem with renewable is that capital that is required to set it up at first.
I think the problem a lot of people have is the down payment.
Yes.
Yeah, the down payment, and then the cost of solar energy in the country is still a bit relatively high.
Yes.
Okay. Did you find any data on things that people will spend on, no matter how difficult things get? They will still spend on those things.
I think we did. We looked at the things that people are planning to spend on in 2025. Right. What they are looking to spend a lot of their money on. And what's interesting is that we also divided this into a bit of segment, because we understand the essentials, right? To say that what are the essential things that people want to spend money on in 2025. We already talked about it, that food is always important, but we also see that people really still want to spend money on technology. They want to spend money on phones, tablets, gadgets. Yeah, Nigerians clearly like their gadgets. People want to also save more. We noticed that people who earn about 300k higher or thereabouts are prioritizing savings.
Really?
Yeah.
Those who earn 300k and above.
And above. They're prioritizing savings. We're also seeing that people are also looking more at Nigerian goods, Nigerian produced items.
because of the cost of the dollar.
Yes, and also sometimes because some of the foreign items have become less available. For example, during our research, we found that a lot of people have changed their diaper brands, purchasing of diaper brands to more Nigerian brands than the foreign one because it became either too expensive or
they're not available even.
They're not available.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is important to say even at this point is there's a lot of opportunities for Nigerian brands here, but the quality has to match. I think that's also sometimes the challenges. In our second layer of interviews, one of the things we discovered is people feel like sometimes the quality of Nigerian brands are not up to par with the foreign one. So while the Nigerian brands are available, sometimes people are not buying because they're like, I'm paying X for this amount. If I pay X,
generally speaking, not just diaper.
No, not just diaper.
Because as a dad, I can see that the Nigerian diaper brands are not doing badly at all.
No, they are not doing badly. Yeah. Trust me, I also do this. I almost say that. So
you don't even see the foreign ones then.
I also do this. I mean, they can do better, but they're not doing badly.
In this era of what you call it, of dollar naira volatility.
Yeah,
I think they have come to the rescue.
They really did. They really did.
Okay, interesting. Want to take some calls.
Okay.
So you've talked about opportunities. You've seen spending patterns.
Yeah.
Not just what Nigerians are spending, or what Nigerians intend to spend on in 2025.
Yes.
And that's why it's called Outlook.
Yes.
All right. And you're saying that Nigerians don't mind spending on gadgets.
No, they don't.
If they can afford it. Those who are earning above 300,000 are prioritizing savings, which is I think opportunity for the financial sector.
Yes.
And fintech, right?
Absolutely.
You're also seeing people are prioritizing locally produced goods because the foreign goods are either not there
or the exchange rate has made them too expensive.
All right. That's really interesting. And you talked about energy, and you're saying more Nigerians are moving towards renewables because of the cost of energy from the center.
Yes.
And then unreliable nature.
Yes, please.
Interesting. I was going to ask you about housing.
Yes.
Do you want to say something very quickly because we have calls about housing?
There's a massive housing deficit that we need to find a way to solve. It's a high dry head problem because there is also the cost of construction that has also gone significantly up. I think that beyond just managing the issue with rent, I think government wants to look at creative ways to solve the housing problem, to make it cheaper to build house.
From what you discovered around the country, how bad is it for us in Lagos compared to how cheaper it is for people around the country?
I want to say this very carefully.
Yeah.
Apparently, we found out that Lagos is not the one struggling with this problem.
Really?
Southeast is battling with it badly.
Housing?
Yes.
That's surprising.
Yeah, very surprising. I'm surprised. I was completely surprised. And like I said, the confirmation was, the new law that or act that Enugu State either is working on or have now passed. Yeah, so it's not only a problem in Lagos. Apparently the guys in Southeast, I think for them is even like maybe the third most expensive thing. Sorry, we have a lot of pages in this report, so one has to go through it to be able to get all of it out.
All right. So problems mean opportunities.
Yes.
We have a next first listener, 99.3. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Kofi. My name is Stanley. I'm calling from Ikorodu.
Oh, Stanley, good to hear you. Please go on, please.
Thank you very much. Please, I want to give a brief analysis of my personal experience, what I went through. I was earning 120,000 naira per month. I'm a BSc graduate, and I was spending 90,000 naira for food on a monthly basis at 1:05 in the morning and 1:05 in the evening, which is not even nutritional for me.
Was that this year?
Yes, that was no, not even this year. That was sometime middle of. I had to stop working. As I speak to you, I don't.
Oh, are you there?
As I speak to you, yes, I'm here. I had to stop working, and currently I'm just managing and struggling to survive. That's not the issue. Please, I really, really appreciate the topic of the day. I want to also suggest something. Kofi, please, you have to do something about the unemployment.
All right.
Let's just talk about it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about employment. Thank you for that suggestion. Stay in touch, Stay in touch. We'll talk about it. Keep reminding me. We can spend a whole week on unemployment. 99.3, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Your name, location, and contribution, please.
My name is Ibino. I'm calling you from Lekki.
All right, welcome.
Yeah. Sincerely, it's not been easy. Last year, even before last year, every month in my church, I always do giveaways, but from the beginning of this year, I've not been able to do anything. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
So things aren't really the way they used to be. Before now, I do a monthly contribution of 500k. It's drastically been reduced to 200k.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
That's because school fees is increasing, house rent is increasing sometimes quarterly. The landlord just comes, there's increment in house rent, and you can't contest it. You need shelter.
Mm-hmm.
You get to the market, what you buy for, let's say you buy for 200 naira, in about 2 weeks' time, they are buying for ×4 of the same amount. You can't, because of the increments, not eat. It's not possible. You need to eat. And then you want to rationalize what comes in at the end of the month against what is going out.
My brother, we have to go, but it's interesting what you've said. You used to give out, cash to your church members and all that.
Sincerely, yes.
And you can't do that anymore because of the cost of things out there. Someone says, sorry, Nigeria is such an informal sector. I think it means the informal economy. How did they come up with the stats? How did they measure so many people who don't have data input? He's asking. So one of our listeners there, I think he's in somewhere in the back.
Okay. Yes. So what we did, like I said, we tried to get across to people across the socioeconomic class. So we did do manual by talking to people directly, and of course we did digital.
Online.
Yeah.
Okay, online
digital.
survey.
Yes. So it was both.
We have Peter Bonds here who says, good morning. I salute your guest, Tubosun.
Yes.
He says he's right in terms of Benue. Food is not cheap in Benue. I ordered for some items, palm oil, but these items are expensive in Benue as compared to Lagos. All right. Thank you very much. He's in Songo Tedo there with that one. Before we go, what's your word for policymakers, including government and then interpreters? In 1 minute. Please.
All right. Let me start with government. I think that we need to look at the input of our country and, find a way to encourage those things. For example, skill is an input. I know that there's a job unemployment problem, but there's also a mismatch of skill and available job. So there are some jobs that are available, but we don't have the right skills. So people really need to skill. And like the report has shown, the more skill you have, the better your chances of earning. For entrepreneurs, I think we need to really look at Nigeria in niches. That's how I'm going to put it, right? We need to look at the opportunities that exist in the smaller communities and not look at it, we have 200 million people, because the need of people, you'll be surprised that the need of people in Lekki is slightly different from the need of people in Akeju. And we need to look at it very carefully.
But the opportunities.
There are opportunities.
Tubosun Akeju, managing partner of Seed Inc. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Kofi.
If you want to download the report, I think, and go to what's the website?
The website, www.seed.in/NCUR report 2025. But just go to www.seed.in. You will find the report there.
All right. Thank you very much. You'll come back from break to say goodbye. Please stay with us. Radio 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Every day is about winning with one play on Nigeria Info. On Nigeria Info, daily winnings is now over 150,000 naira. Just go to oneplay.ng or dial *347 *880 *3#. Play with as little as 500 naira, and in a few seconds, your ticket is in the draw. The more you play, the better your chances of winning every day on the Morning Crossfire, WhatsApp Lagos, and Game On shows on weekdays and the Football Frenzy shows on weekends. But that's not all. Every Friday, there will be a 500,000 naira jackpot. Playing during the week.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.